Hi everyone, good morning. So great to see all of you here. Today I would like to share with you a few thoughts that we have at Boba Network around how you could scale DeFi with AI and how Boba Network could actually help you accomplish that. Thank you. So DeFi has been around for a few years now, and for those of us in the industry, of course, we hear about it a lot. We track its latest developments, what's cool, which protocols are rising, expanding, gaining traction. But if we zoom out and look at the size of the DeFi industry, even though DeFi has come a long way in the past 4.5 years, it's still a drop in the bucket compared to the global wealth management industry in terms of size, and you can see the comparison on the slide. And so what does it take to grow the DeFi pie to start taking more market share as a part of the global wealth management industry? Well, there are several pain points getting in the way, and AI could really be helpful in overcoming these challenges. Well, one of the pain points is fairly well known, is user experience challenges. And we're talking about not just the usual, oh, it's hard to get a crypto wallet, manage your own funds. Those challenges certainly are very real and exist, and there are many initiatives out there in the industry trying to address these challenges, but there's more to it, right? And we'll get into a little bit more detail later on in the talk. And then there's capital inefficiency, right? In the traditional financial world, for example, when you take out a loan, you don't necessarily need to fully collateralize it, right? When you take out, there are ways to borrow, take out an unsecured loan, because there are other ways in addition to the actual capital to verify your credit worthiness. But on chain, well, most loans are collateralized or over collateralized because there's nothing else to go on. But what if we could use AI and some of the technologies that we have built at Boba to help a DeFi protocol assess the credit worthiness of the borrower beyond what is visible on chain? Now you can dramatically improve capital efficiency, and that will grow the DeFi pie and drive more adoption. And then lastly, risk management challenges. And there's so many different dimensions to this, and there's not enough time to go into all of them today. But just think about not just smart contract security risks, but also the risk of not knowing what else is going on out there in this fragmented liquidity world of DeFi, and also the greed and fear emotions that individual traders and users experience. Now, in the traditional financial world, sure, these emotional challenges exist as well, and traditional financial brokerages spend a lot. Actually, they invest quite a bit of resources in educating their customers on how to fight against these human emotions. But what if we could use AI to actually put in guardrails for the individual users, right, to not succumb to the worst of their own human emotions when they're making investment or trading decisions on DeFi. So let's go into some of these ideas a little bit. For example, how might we use AI to streamline the user experience in DeFi? So first of all, in terms of user expectations, if we're talking about reaching mainstream users, we've got to understand what they are used to working with. And we're talking about a bar that is set pretty high by traditional players like Robinhood and others, where the whole experience is very streamlined, mobile friendly, right? Almost game-like, and they get to really make a trade very quickly, not just in fairly simple trading decisions like buying a stock, selling a stock, but also even in options trading. So there's a lot to be learned from the players like Robinhood and using AI to really streamline onboarding and also the ongoing education experience for users. And we really need to close the gap here. And one of the ways to do that, there are many ways. One of the ways is to use natural language as part of the interface in addition to social login. And when we put the two together, you can imagine how much easier it's going to be for users to not only create their own initial wallet using social login, and then also using a natural language interface to specify their intent. For example, we can enable users to do things like, well, I have $1,000 to invest USDC, and I want to buy a specific token on a specific chain. And behind the scenes, we can actually abstract away the underlying mechanics to make that happen for the user, right? Find the right routes, find the best price, and present either the best choice or the top 3 choices for the user and execute for them. Behind the scenes, one of the ways to make this happen, of course, technologists are really innovative, and there are many ways to build towards this vision. But what we have done at Enya Labs as our contribution to Boba is something called Codecaster. And what Codecaster does is that it translates a natural language command from a human being or from another smart contract even into smart contract call data. So now all of a sudden it's much easier to interact with smart contracts on chain, right, for the end users. And we have open source Codecaster is available on Boba Network, and any end user or developers can take advantage of that to enable this level of user experience for your users. Another challenge, right, in scaling DeFi is liquidity management, because liquidity is very fragmented. The token that you want might not be available on the chain where you actually have liquidity, right? And in order to move your liquidity around different chains, it's still challenging today. There are a lot of hoops that you're going to jump through, and even if the token that you want is available on your chain, how do you know you're actually getting the best price? Maybe there's a better price on a different chain. So navigating through all these complexities is intellectually, cognitively very taxing for the end user compared to just trading in the traditional way. And why do we not have these challenges in the traditional markets? Well, first of all, there's one central clearinghouse for prices for traditional public equities, right? So you know whether you're trading on Fidelity or on Charles Schwab, you're actually going to get pretty much the same price, right? You don't need to worry about it. And the same universe of public equities are pretty much available across these different platforms. You don't really need to worry about, oh, if I want to buy NVIDIA, like, is it available only on Fidelity or is it available only on JP Morgan? Like, we don't think about that. So we want to get to that level of mental ease for the end users in order to get them to become more interested in adopting DeFi. So how do we do that? Right? You can actually build off-chain models, AI models, to recommend and update your liquidity positions, right? These off-chain models can take in price feeds, the current spreads, changes in liquidity positions across different chains for whatever assets that your users are interested in, make a recommendation, and then execute on chain. And of course, these strategies are not mutually exclusive, right? You can combine what we're talking about here with what we talked about just a minute ago with a natural language interface. And now you can see how these pieces all start fitting together in building a much easier user experience and one that doesn't take nearly as much mental load for the user to adopt DeFi. And these models, because they run off-chain, you don't need to open source them. As a developer, that could be your differentiator against other players in the industry and improve your models over time and build something that is truly unique and differentiated for your community of users. We could also use AI to implement risk management strategies for our users, right? So how do we do that? One of the ways is to, first of all, find out from the user what are your risk parameters, right? What kinds of returns are you looking for? Are you here to speculate, or are you here to invest and want to grow your portfolio over time? And what levels of drawdowns can you tolerate, right? It's much better for them to figure out these parameters up front when they're rational, as opposed to when the market has dropped 30% and they're fearful and they're like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? Like, do I buy the dip or do I liquidate and just get out? It's much better to set out these parameters ahead of time and then use your AI model that you can develop and be able to access from your on-chain contract to help your users protect themselves from themselves, right? Let the rational mind work at the best capacity, set these parameters, and then use your AI model to help them stay within these boundaries. And again, these risk management models could also take into account many other different data sources. You could use it to monitor suspicious activities around a token, around other DeFi protocol. Perhaps there's a new smart contract that has just emerged and your users want to tap into it. And you could actually make a recommendation to the user around like what kind of risk are they taking by engaging with a new protocol, and distill all that into recommendations that your users can then execute on chain. And there are many other possibilities that we could go into. The net is AI truly enables a new level of power and usability for your users if you're willing to tap into it. And Boba is here to enable you, to help you build dApps that take advantage of both the power of DeFi on-chain and the power of AI off-chain. Just a quick snapshot on Boba for those who are not familiar. We are a layer 2 network launched on Ethereum as well as BNB, and there's more than 100 dApps deployed and integrated with Boba already. And this is our view of how the AI crypto landscape is going to evolve. In the past, it's really only real human beings interacting with smart contracts. That's gone, right? Today, we see a lot of AI agents / bots that are interacting with dApps. But dApps are on the receiving end, pretty passive. They are doing whatever the bots tell them to do. But the future lies in taking this relationship one step further, right? Enabling, empowering dApps to talk back to these AI agents, right? And that's what Boba Network enables. You can have this two-way interaction. And what that means is, for example, as a developer, you can build and train your own AI agent to protect your on-chain protocol. Right before a transaction is executed, your smart contract can talk to your own off-chain AI agent and say, hey, should I really let this transaction go through? What are some of the things that you're seeing off-chain that I should be aware of, right? Before actually letting that transaction proceed. And a while ago, I spoke about Codecaster. It's live. It's available on Boba Network. I encourage you to play with it, check out its power, and integrate it into your own dApp or improve upon it. It's completely open source. Again, it is a natural language interface for you to interact with a smart contract. And you can embed it as part of the user experience, or you can write a contract that uses natural language to call another contract. We encourage you to join our Boba Builders Telegram group. Here's the QR code. I'm in that group. Our developer relations folks are in that group. You can ask us any questions you want as you build out your DeFi dApps and take advantage of the power of off-chain AI models and use them to grow your DeFi protocol 10x, 100x. As we saw in the statistics, DeFi is only 1/1000th of the wealth management industry. There's a ton of room for growth. So rather than just competing with each other with other DeFi protocols, let's go out and tap into new sources of users and new sources of liquidity. And lastly, if you're launching something new, or actually if you're even an existing protocol, I would encourage you to check out these two programs that we have for new projects. That's what the Boba Liftoff Accelerator is designed for, 10 weeks of virtual workshops and mentorship to help you launch a protocol, and the Thrive Boba Grants program that offer milestone-based grants available on Boba Network as you grow with the network together. Well, thank you so much. It's so great to be able to share some of these ideas with you. I'll be hanging outside. We have Boba t-shirts available for all of you to take home. Happy to speak with you and answer any questions that you have. Thank you.